Did you know the Kraken isn't a fairy tale, just a branding problem? Imagine an animal with eyes the size of dinner plates, built to spot a whale in the dark, silently floating in the black zone where sunlight dies. I was genuinely shocked to learn that the giant squid's superpower isn't brute force or movie monster rage. It's engineering elegance, chemical buoyancy instead of inflated lungs, stealth instead of speed, a brain shaped like a ring donut with a food pipe through the middle. Nothing about this creature is normal, and that's the point. Picture this: 3,000 feet down, the water turns from midnight to ink. Sound carries, light doesn't, and everything with a heartbeat lives by rules land animals never needed. The giant squid, Architeuthis dux if we're being formal, haunts that realm. It is not the heaviest squid that metal goes to the colossal squid, but it is the one that rewired our folklore. It taught sailors to see monsters where biology was doing its night shift. Albert Einstein wrote, "The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious." Down there, mystery isn't a mood, it's the operating system. Bioluminescent sparkles pop as fish and jelly forms dash through the water, a neon Morse code on a blackboard the size of continents. The giant squid's eyes, among the largest of any living animal, aren't oversized vanity. They are tuned to capture even those whispers of light and, more importantly, to detect the approach of its greatest nemesis, the sperm whale. Models of underwater visibility suggest such huge eyes make sense precisely to see big threats in big darkness, by catching the faint shimmer of disturbed plankton around an approaching whale. That's not horror, that's mathematics wearing skin. Science Direct. Ocean Sea Edu. Let's wipe away a common myth. The giant squid wasn't invented by Hollywood. Photographs of a live one in the wild were finally captured in 2004 near Japan, after years of careful planning and a lot of failed drops. Then in 2012, video from the deep showed a living giant squid moving under its own alien grace in its natural habitat. That wasn't CGI. It was patience, engineering, and a willingness to lose sleep. The Kraken stepped out of myth and onto a memory card. PMC. Ocean Sea Edu. The body plan is a masterclass in specialization. 8 arms for control, 2 extraordinarily long feeding tentacles for the catch, and at the center of that soft, flowing architecture, a beak harder than your nightmares, linked to a conveyor belt tongue called a radula that shreds prey into pieces small enough to pass through the most inconvenient design constraint in the animal kingdom. The esophagus runs through the brain like a straw through a donut. Chew thoroughly, or else. The elegant absurdity works because evolution isn't a tidy engineer. It's a bricoleur, building with whatever yesterday left on the workshop floor. The result is both ridiculous and perfect. How does something that big float without popping like a balloon? It doesn't use a balloon at all. Many deep squids, including Architeuthis, lace their tissues with ammonium ions, essentially an internal chemical life jacket lighter than seawater. No explosive swim bladders, no risky gas pockets, just chemistry. That's part of why dead giant squids smell like a cleaning closet that lost a fight. It's also why they're famously bad cuisine. The taste runs from bitter licorice to "why did you do this to me?" This buoyancy trick gives them neutral lift, letting them hover in the water column with minimal effort, the deep-sea version of an electric car coasting downhill. Ocean Sea Edu. PMC. Ocean Color Web. 2 Oceans Aquarium. Where do they live? Almost everywhere the deep ocean drops off. North Atlantic, South Atlantic, North Pacific around Japan, the Southwest Pacific near New Zealand and Australia, scattered along continental slopes like ghost stories pinned to a map. Depth-wise, they occupy a broad band roughly from a few hundred meters to around a kilometer or more. We know this partly by the company they keep, or avoid, and partly by the dive habits of sperm whales, who do not operate tourist schedules. The squid live in the mesopelagic, that twilight world where you don't really see so much as infer. Velikali peya de iya. Soast Hawaii Edu. Let's talk size. Honest numbers beat barstool legends. Females can reach around 12–13 meters total length, counting those long tentacles, with males smaller. Most of that length is whip-like extension, not beefy muscle. The colossal squid outweighs it, but the giant squid wins optical myth-making. Those long tentacles are high-gain antennas for prey. At the clubbed ends, their suction cups are ringed with serrated chitin teeth. Grab, gouge, hold. Then the arms pull dinner into range of the beak. If you've seen circular scars on a sperm whale's face, those are the squid's calling cards. Animalia bio. Vericalipea de iya. Menu time. Architeuthis eats deep-sea fish and other squid, a private buffet in the mid-water gloom. It's not a Hollywood brawler, it's a specialist ambush hunter. Two tentacles shoot, clubs latch, arms swarm, beak bites, radula rasps, and the conveyor heads past the brain straw into the gut. Some evidence points to occasional cannibalism, hardly shocking in the abyss, where the rules are eat when it's there, because later won't wait. Vericalipea de iya. Reproduction gets weird in ways that would make a Victorian faint. Most squids use a modified arm, a hectocotylus, to deliver sperm packets. Giant squid. They appear to skip the arm trick and use a very long, extendable penis to inject spermatophores directly into the female's tissues. That's not rumor. Anatomical and behavioral evidence has piled up to support it. If that mental image makes you raise an eyebrow, join the club. Biologists did too for decades. Evolution doesn't ask permission to be odd. Ocean Sea Edu. Academic.com. PMC. ResearchGate. How many are there? No one knows precisely, and anyone who pretends is selling you a paperback. But here's a fun inference. Sperm whales eat giant squid often. Beaks from squids turn up in the whales' stomachs like black box recorders after a flight. From those counts and whale population estimates, some researchers infer that giant squid numbers must be very high. Meanwhile, genetic studies across oceans show shockingly little variation, suggesting that what we call the giant squid is one global species, not a box of many. So the Kraken isn't a collection of regional villains. It's one widespread, weirdly unified ghost. PMC. Science Daily. Are they dangerous to humans? Not in the way the posters want. They don't stalk ships. They don't conspire against submarines. The handful of close looks we've gotten show an animal adapted to the deep, soft-bodied, neutral, buoyant, stealth first. If you meet one near the surface, it's either lost, stressed, or dead, not on a hunt for sailors' memoirs. Live science writing has hammered this point for years. The Kraken isn't a maritime serial killer. It's a deep-water specialist that rarely sees us at all. Live science. How smart are they? Caution beats hype. Octopuses are the invertebrate brainiacs we know intimately. Giant squids are almost never alive in a lab, so the tests we love to give octopuses, puzzles, jars, mischief, don't apply. But the neural architecture is serious. Large optic lobes for processing those gigantic visual inputs and a suite of sensory gear, including statistists, little internal gyros that help balance and motion sense. You can even age a squid by counting growth rings in tiny statoliths, like dendrochronology for monsters. It's not a party trick. It's how we wrestle time out of the deep. Vericalipea de iya. Why haven't we seen more of them? Because most of our ocean is hard mode. Cameras hate darkness and pressure. Cables snag. The ocean doesn't care about your grant deadlines. It took until 2004 to get wild photos and 2012 to get usable video in the deep. Some additional footage was captured near the surface earlier, but the deep-sea recordings, the ones that finally silenced the myth vs reality debate, only arrived when tech caught up with curiosity. Think about that when someone shrugs off ocean exploration as done. We've mapped Mars better than our own abyssal backyard. PMC. Ocean Sea Edu. Conservation status. Surprisingly stable on paper. The IUCN currently lists Architeuthis as least concern, but that's more about ignorance than safety. The deep sea doesn't hand out population surveys. What we can say, they live deep enough to dodge many human threats until we drag nets, boom seismic airguns, or acidify the water column 1 pH notch at a time. The abyss is not a fortress. It's a budget apartment with thin walls. Sea Life Base C. Zoom back and look at the whole design. Neutral buoyancy means energy thrift. Oversized eyes mean threat detection in darkness. Long tentacles keep the dangerous part of dinner far from the soft part of you. The beak is a can opener for armored fish. The radula is the conveyor belt of consequences. The donut brain pushes food through the middle because evolution had bigger priorities than your aesthetic sense. It's a system tuned to an environment we barely understand. Mark Twain quipped, "Truth is stranger than fiction." The giant squid proves it line by line. Even the genome, yes, we've sequenced it, adds to the drama. It arms biologists to hunt for the genes behind those ridiculous eyes and weird buoyancy pathways. Not because we want to clone Krakens, but because understanding extreme designs teaches us what's possible anywhere life can improvise. Academic Zoop.com. There's a philosophical punchline here. We kept the giant squid in our mythology cabinet for centuries not because it was unknowable, but because we hadn't done the work. When we finally stopped guessing and started patiently engineering the right cameras, lures, and dives, the animal stepped out of fog into focus. Noel.